Yolin.
All right, there we go. You guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh my God. Sorry. I was having some technical difficulties over here. We're all good now though. Forgot my password like 10 minutes ago. Then Zoom crashed on me three times trying to get the meeting set up.
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Okay. So for today, we got a little bit of notes here. We're just about done with everything. Call me. Join meeting. I'm gonna make sure I get my board up really quick. I don't even need that. Here's what I'm gonna do in the meantime. Okay, if you guys check my school app really quick, your take-home quiz on chapter 9 is going to be due next class. So go ahead while I get my board set up, take a look at that, see if you have any questions on it. Pretty straightforward. There was one question that I'm taking out of it.
Why do we have part 1 and
I couldn't fit it all on one picture.
Oh, okay. It's a
I'll,
picture, right?
I'll write this in the description. But question 9.3 parts D and E we're going to skip.
Wait. Can you repeat that again?
Yep, I'm gonna write it in here too. But question 9.3 parts D is in dog and part E are going to be you don't need to do those. Nine point three D and E. So it's now updated. So you guys should be able to see that. So take 2 minutes, read through it, see if anything's confusing in there, but it should be pretty straightforward. And then we'll get started talking about the next section here, which is the last piece we need for the AP test. Francis, you don't see it on my.
Is it a take home quiz or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
Great to see you now. Great.
Are we doing the part 2 right now?
What's up?
Wait, which question are we doing?
All of them.
Ah, in class or
No.
No,
So
after.
do on Tuesday.
oh?
Mr. Fabian, can we start now?
I want to make sure we get through these notes just so that way we have plenty of time next week to review for the AP test. But I'll definitely cut it off at the 40 today to make sure you guys have some time to work on that.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure you guys get everything that you need, so you can do as good of a job as possible for the AP. Any questions? We'll go ahead and get started now.
Oh, I don't think you have the submissions out there.
I forget that every single time. Oh my, I'm so bad with that. File submission, and I'll make it so you can, as many pages as you need. Thank you, Ricky.
No problem.
All right. Can everybody just check in face to face real quick before we get started? Just make sure everybody's there. Fantastic. Thumbs down. There we go. Great. Okay. So we got last section was more or less one proportion or one mean, right? So the last section of this is comparing two proportions, comparing two means. So let's get started with this. Okay. So pretty much I'll just kind of walk through notes wise what's going on, and then we will go through an example. Okay. Let me turn off one of mine, so that always looks really weird. So we'll start this off with two proportions. You guys see me on the board? Do I need to make it bigger, or you guys can kind of pin me to the screen?
Yeah, I did.
Pin video, even better. Two proportions. Let's talk about a distribution first. Francis, what's my acronym for describing a distribution?
Or what?
When we talk about a distribution, what do we talk about? Remember we talked about formulas for test, hypothesis test.
Can I go back to the notes?
Oh, well, you'd have to go back, way back.
Can
someone help him out?
I don't know. Bins.
No.
Socks.
Thank you.
Oh.
Okay, so we'll just talk about how these look, right? And I guess we're really not going to talk about the O. Really won't need an outlier to talk about here, but so if we're just talking about this distribution, okay, we still want to check if it's approximately normal. Okay, how do I do that with a proportion? If I just had one proportion.
Wait, what do you ask for?
Or my normal check for a
Don't
proportion.
you do the 1/10 greater than or
That's
equal to?
independent. Looking for the normal check though.
Normal is
Oh, is it in the question?
P
Like
times
simple randoms.
Go ahead, Ricky.
P times P. Wait, M times P
Yep.
greater than 10, and N times 1 minus P greater than 10.
Okay. For means, what is it? Just quick little review here.
Means.
What's our check for means?
What did you ask for me?
Nope. Someone else. Right. This is for proportions. What if I'm talking about means instead of proportions?
Can you
It's
repeat?
everybody.
Can you repeat the question?
Yep. What's my normal check for means? Right. This is NP and N times 1 minus P greater than 10. That's how we check for a proportion. Right. But how do we check it for means?
And
It's
bigger.
10%. 10%
I think it
rule.
was Maciek who was saying it. Maybe I was wrong. Someone said N greater than and then kind of fizzled out.
Wait. What?
Oh, yeah.
Was it SRS?
No, N greater than 30. Remember?
Oh,
Sample mean?
yeah.
Okay, this is sample proportions that we're talking about now. I just wanted to check in real quick. Okay, so this is for one proportion, right? So if I have two proportions, it's literally the same thing. We just check it for each proportion, right? So I'm going to call this, right? I'm going to have kind of two samples here. It'll make a little more sense when we start doing examples, but just kind of follow along for now, right? So I would have N, I need to check N1 of my first proportion, P1 of my first proportion greater than 10, right? N1 of my second, or still saying on the first here, and then 1 minus P of that one, okay? But we're also gonna have a second one, so we also need to check N2, P2 greater than 10, and then N2, 1 minus P2 greater than 10. Okay. So we're literally just adding another proportion, and we're kind of comparing the two here. All right, that's the point of this. Okay.
Makes sense.
Does that make sense, guys?
Yep.
And stop me if I'm going too fast because we have a little bit of time here to get through this. Okay. So let's assume that my distribution looks okay. We don't really have to worry about the an outlier here. Okay. So my center or my mean, right? If I'm comparing two proportions, right? So if we have just one proportion, our mean is just going to be that proportion, right? So for 2, when we're comparing the two, we have P1 minus P2. Okay.
Oh,
Just in
why
case if we-
why isn't it P2 minus P1?
I guess you
Is
could
that different?
go that way. We're not really. I guess just to kind of keep things consistent. I don't know the real rhyme or reason behind it, but we just kind of in stats talk about P1 minus P2.
Is it possible that the mean is negative?
Um.
Like think about if you're maybe we're talking about temperature, right? And you have, I guess that's not a good example for proportions, but let's see, what would be a good?
Mr. Freeman?
I mean, you can still put it on a normal curve, so yeah, you could still. I can't think of a good example off the top of my head right now, but yeah, it could be negative. Yeah.
I have a question
Go
about
ahead.
like, how can I see the record about this class?
I'm gonna post them to my school app. I'm a little behind on it, but I'm gonna make sure they're all up there this weekend.
Oh, okay, thank
right.
you.
Okay. When we talk about spread, talk about standard deviation, right? So it'd just be standard deviation 1 minus standard deviation 2, right?
Yeah. Wait, no, I don't think so.
Thank you. No, definitely not, right?
I think it's square on over square of standard deviation 1, not
Good. Yep.
oh
So we'll go.
wait, yeah, over n.
Nice shot, Ricky. Good. Okay. So if you guys remember from your when we would give you guys that formula sheet for quiz or test or something like that, when you had this giant square root formula and you're like, oh my gosh, I hope I never have to use that. That's all it is. Just add another proportion. All right, questions on that?
No.
Should be pretty straightforward here. I'll take a picture of these just in case. Get these pictures posted too. Any other questions on this? So we'll talk about distribution. We'll talk about what these look like in a confidence interval, and then we'll talk about what they look like in a significance test. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about confidence intervals. With two proportions. Okay. Assumptions. Okay, same. All right, nothing's changing from what we just talked about. Right, the normal check will be N1, P1, N2, P2, N1 minus P1, N2, 1 minus P2. Okay, all that's the same from what we just wrote. Okay, Lewis, where are we at? What's my what do we call it? Acronym? What's my acronym for confidence intervals?
For confidence intervals?
Yep.
Is it? What do you say? Acronym?
Yep.
Is that one Ben's?
Nope. That's binomial distribution.
Panic.
Thank you. Okay, so our P is the same, A is the same, okay, N, well, we set confidence interval or whatever we need there. Okay. When we construct our interval, right, is the only real change here. Okay. So for two proportions, and you guys could probably figure this out. All right, but I'll give it to you. P hat 1 minus P hat 2, right? That's our mean, right? That's our
Yeah.
mean P. Okay, plus or minus. Remember, we got our Z star. Okay, based on whatever our confidence interval happens to be, whether 95%, 90%, whatever. And remember, we multiply that times standard deviation. Okay, so N1. All right. Oops.
Over P.
My bad. And then we gotta make sure we put our hat in there. P1. It's P1. Okay.
Over N
Thank you.
plus.
Cool. Okay. So we're comparing
That
two
is super
proportions.
long.
Yeah, it's a lot, right? But this is why we learned how to use a calculator, and I'll show you guys how we get that on the calculator as well. Okay, so this would be your confidence interval. C is the same, concluding context. All right, I am 95% confident that the range here to here falls within our interval. Questions on that?
Nope.
Everybody else, we good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Great. Okay. So it looks a little like long, but we're really just throwing in another proportion and just adjusting that mean accordingly and adjusting that standard deviation accordingly based off of having a second mean. Okay. Picture this guy. Okay. So last thing we'll talk about here for proportions.
Wait. Oh.
For a significance test. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit different. You'll kind of see why in a second here. Okay. Lewis, what's my acronym for significance test? Someone help him out.
Phantoms?
Yep. So our H and phantoms, right? Our H and naught's going to be a little bit different. P1 minus P2 equals 0. Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
Right, because we're comparing the difference between the two. All right, so with this, we're going to introduce a new piece to it. Right, I guess I should really put P hat. Okay. So for this, we're going to introduce a new one called P hat C. And we're going to call this, your book calls it a couple different things. It calls it pooled or combined. No, we're, sorry, no hats there. sample proportion. Okay. Not a whole lot behind this one. Don't get too scared yet. Okay. So P hat C. Okay. Your, I guess, say combined successes over combined trials. Right. So like x1 plus x2 over n1 plus n2. And we're gonna need this here for our test statistic. All right, so like let's say, I don't know, we had one sample that was 3 out of 10. Let's call it P1, and then P2 is, let's say,
Should also be 3 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Okay, so then PC
Oh,
would be
okay.
11 out of 20. Okay, so that's what we mean by here. I guess I should make this a different number. Let's say it's 8 out of 12. All right. So we have 11 out of 22. So that's not really a fraction. I didn't want to make it look like it was a fraction. Okay. Total number of successes. First one I got 3. Second one I got 8 out of 12. Add those together, I get 11. My n here is out of 10, and here's out of 12. So my P pooled or P combined will be 11 out of 22.
So we are doing this if we have two samples,
Well, two proportions. Yep.
and the proportion is basically a sample.
Yeah. So like, you get 2 samples of the student body that do their homework this percentage of the time, and we compare with 2 samples of students. Right. It's just make difference between proportions and means, because remember we treat means a little bit differently than we treat proportions. So proportions is something out of something. Okay, almost done with this. So the last piece is getting that new T, that new test statistic, right? And I guess name a test. So now we got a 2-prop Z test. So that's equal to, I remember this is how we get our p-value in phantoms. P hat 1, P hat 2, minus 0. I forget why it's minus 0. Don't ask me why. I'll look it
Why?
up. All right, so we got P hat C, 1 minus P hat C divided by N1 plus P hat C, 1 minus P hat C over N2.
Do we
Okay, so-
must minus the 0?
That's just the official way to do it.
So we can just ignore it.
Yeah, it's not going to make it with their calculations. Yeah. Questions on that?
Is it because it is H naught, maybe? Because
What do
H
you
naught,
mean? Oh, yeah, probably.
because H naught might be 0.
Wow, I put a, sorry, that's wrong. What am I doing? 2 down here. That's PC. Yeah. P hat 1 minus P hat 2 minus 0 divided by square root P hat C times 1 minus P hat C divided by N1. Same thing, but divided by N2.
Okay.
Okay. Get a picture of that. Okay. So let's take a look here. I gotta get my calculator back up. So let me share my screen. So if you guys take a look here, if we go to stat, test, right? So we got, if we're talking
You-
confidence interval here, you got your 2 sample Z interval. Okay, so we can find this. You can, again, you can do 2 lists too.
Mr. Fabian,
Yep.
why are we using the 2 set Z interval and not the 2 prop Z interval?
Hold on 1 second. Did I go the wrong thing?
Just curious. Yeah. Why should we use two
Oh,
Sam
sorry.
Z?
Yeah. My bad, Samuel. You're right. There you go. That looks better, right? You have your X1, your N1, and then you can find it like that. Okay. Like if I was doing our example there, well, we had 3 out of 10 for our first. Second one we had 8 out of 12. And let's calculate it at the 95% interval. All right, there you go.
Mr. Fabian,
Yep.
can you go again on stat and then on test?
Yep. So we go stat
Mhm.
over to test. I think it's B.
What is
Why is it not
on-
simple Z? She wanted.
Because remember, we're talking proportion here, right? So that's why we need to. That's what the prop stands for, proportion.
and we're searching for interval and not for the test, right?
Well, I'm gonna show the test in a second, but I just want to show you where you find the interval if you were ever asked to find the interval. Okay, so we got so that's our 2 prop Z interval, right? So I'm 95% confident that I would have values fall between negative 0.75 and 0.02 if those were the 2 intervals I was looking at, right? So you give your P hat 1, your P hat 2, and they find, well, you gave them the N, but those are your 2 proportions, and that would be the confidence interval that would go along with it, okay? So if we want to look at a 2 prop Z test, just go down to 2 prop Z test. Okay, so let's say we got the same thing, right? And we're looking at, same sample, 3 out of 10, 8 out of 12, and we're doing one-tailed. So let's take a look at that. All right, pretty, I think we're gonna fail to reject this guy. Wow, what a big p-value.
Mr.
All
Hay,
right.
Okay.
at the AP exam, right?
Yep.
Do we need to use phantoms and bins and socks, or can we just use the calculator just only? Is it possible?
Well, it depends what the question they give you is. So like, let's say, I don't know, we're talking about they say describe this distribution, right? You don't need to like put socks there, but they definitely want center, shape, and spread. If they tell you to describe a distribution, they want outliers too. So it depends on the context of the question. If they're just asking for the interval, right? Like they say, all right, find the confidence interval for blah, 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 right? Then you go find your confidence interval. But they might say, interpret the confidence interval in the context of the problem, right? The C in panic, right? Then you'd have to go ahead and say, well, I'm 95% confident that my interval falls between this and this, right? Just like we kind of scripted it. So that's why we do phantoms and panic and that type of thing, because, you know, they'll say it kind of bluntly on the AP exam without saying, it won't be like, okay, give me the center, shape, and spread of this distribution, right? They'll say, describe the distribution, and that's what they're really asking for.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with like, what's another good example here? Is there strong evidence, you know, that we can reject this null, right? Well, you say, my p-value is too big, therefore we failed to reject the null. There's not strong evidence that the alternative hypothesis is true, right? So that's something where, right. So that's why those things are helpful, because if you hear that, it's like, oh, okay, I need the S and phantoms right there, right? Or at least that's why I think it's helpful. Okay, good question. Good question. Any other questions on what we went over today? So we still got to do this for sample means, and then we're going to look at that for a t-test as well. But then that'll be it. We'll have everything covered for the AP exam once we're finished with that. Any other questions on that stuff, or the take-home quiz, or anything in general?
Did you actually record the class?
Did I record it?
Yeah.
Yeah. On Zoom, it does it automatically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ricky doesn't think I'm recording it.
Yeah.
If you look right here at my Zoom, see that little button right there? The blinking red?
Yeah.
There you go. It like records it to the Zoom cloud. So I gotta go take it off of Zoom and upload it to my school app, or maybe with the YouTube link or something. I'll figure that out today.
All right.
So I also got a request to just do some additional AP practice. So I was thinking about doing that tomorrow if you guys wanted to do a little like review session. What would be just like a casual thing. We'll go over a couple problems. If there's something you guys have been looking at, maybe on some independent review you're doing for the test that you're confused about, want to go over some examples of, just a totally optional thing. but I did have a request for it, so I wanted to bring it to the class. Would there be a good time for that if we were to do that? I was thinking kind of around this time just to make sure everybody can do it, maybe like 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah. Might be a good time.
Anybody against that would want to come to that review session?
Mr. Fabian,
Yeah.
my chick said that his internet went down or something. That's why he's not here.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to email him or something because you think he'd probably want something like that.
Okay. You want to text him real quick too?
Yeah,
So
I'll have
just-
him.
Thank you.
What time did you say it was? 10?
So yeah, we'll do that at 10. So it gives everybody here a little bit of a chance to sleep in, and then I don't think that's going to be too late for students in China, hopefully. But if you object to it, let me know. We can rearrange it, or maybe I'll record it and post that too. So we'll figure something out. But we'll go 10 a.m. right now if there are no objections.
Can you make how's it called? In the calendar on Outlook, on Teams?
Yeah. I'm gonna just so I'll send an Outlook invite to everybody, including the people in the other class too. All right. If there are no more questions, you guys are free to work on that take-home quiz. If you guys have any specific things you'd like to go over for the review tomorrow, please let me know, and we can I can prepare a couple things in advance. That'd be helpful for me to help you guys. Maybe, I don't know, you're stuck on bins or something like that. Just let me know in advance. Okay.
Yep.
All right, guys. With that, I'll see you on Tuesday.
All right, see you.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fabian, see you.
Adios.
See ya.
See ya.
Oh wait, Mr. Fabian,
Yeah.
have you figured out the long last classroom yet?
I can't leave me.
Wait, what was that?
How?
The long last meeting, like it could reuse a couple
Oh yeah.
times. Yeah.
I'm gonna do that when I start getting the invites together for next week over the weekend.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a look at it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yep. No problem, bud.
See you. Have a good weekend.
You too. Francis, you good? Francis, does that mean you weren't paying attention in the past?
What?
There he is. Is everything good?
And I hear you said the
Did you have
Yep.
you have anything in particular you want me to prepare for tomorrow?
Not really.
Okay. Well, if you got anything, let me know. Okay.
Bye.
See you.